Graham English on keys and Matt Steinberg on drums. Okay. These guys are doing everything we English teachers wish we could do every day in class, and we sometimes do jump around and not sing and dance as much. But this is an awesome opportunity. Okay, so enjoy.
This is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. A Shakespearean mic check. Is everybody alright? Check. This is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. Good on the left and the right, check.
Yeah, a Shakespearean mic check.
Yeah.
Remember that old mic check, 1, 2 business? Forget it. That ain't the type of mic check this is. This is the type of mic check that keeps you listening, educated, stimulated, and tuned in and interested. The mic will make each of my sound waves an electrical signal that it sends on its way to the mixer and the speakers, which will then somehow turn them back into sound. Can you hear me now? Shakespeare utilized blank verse lines, iambic pentameter without the rhyme. Now in case your eyes glazed over what I said, it only means 10 syllables with half of them stressed. He liked blank verse cause the verse was versatile, could elevate a character's speech and seem natural. But before I get accused of geeking out, let me hit you to what this is about.
This is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. A Shakespearean mic check. Is everything alright? Check.
I think so, check, check.
Oh, this is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. Man, I hope they got my check.
I hope they got your check. Because it's my check.
Go!
Now, let's say we were back in Shakespeare's day, at a theater, chilling, checking out a play. At the beginning, some cat will come onto the stage, clear his throat, and would begin to say, let us now upon your imaginary forces work, then through this mixture of prose and verse, transport us to places we never could have gone, Athens or Denmark, battlefields or courtyards. But here where we are, if we keep the levels right, the bass and treble right, make sure they're hella tight, up the gain and the main, but tweak the knob slight, make sure the feedback don't bite, we just might strike a nice balance between the music and the vocals, and we get a set so that it flips the hip and the yoke. To rock the bar hard's what the mission is. Dig, so let us get to the biz.
This is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. A Shakespearean mic check. Is everybody alright? Check.
I think so, let's see.
Oh, this is a mic check, a mic check, a mic check. Good on the left and the right, check.
Yeah, I think so.
A Shakespearean mic check. A Shakespearean mic check.
I like that. Let's make them skim a little. I like that groove. Alright, so on this side, here you go. And this side go. William.
And over here go Shakespeare.
On this side go. And on this side go. Y'all get up tonight. We want this side to go what?
Come on,
We want this side to go what?
Shakespeare.
We want this side to go what? And then we want this side to walk 'em. Gentlemen, one and all, we wish to welcome y'all here to the Shakespeare Time Traveling Speakeasy. The Speakeasy is a hip trip where we dip into and out of the literary timeline in order to find evidence of Shakespeare's continuing influence and impact. In fact, this is less of a place and more of a space carved out betwixt the two hippest of squares. One being that of tis neither this nor that, the other being that of tis neither here nor there. So, if the term speakeasy makes you a little bit uneasy, well, take it easy. Don't sweat, nor fret, nor despair, mon frere. For we are all teetotalers here, only serving up the kind of drink guaranteed to make you think. The ale and the mead your mind finds its need. The literary liquor that'll make your thoughts flicker. And to that end, I am the not-so-humble host of this sweet swinging soiree, Mr. Robin Hoodfellow.
And I am his right-hand man. Not always the man with the plan, but always vital to the band and the plan. Mr. Horatio Everyman. We are your guide through this space carved out
out in the Catholic memorial hustle and bustle for you to relax, catch a break, and get into the swing of things, Shakespeare.
Because in this, the 400 plus years since the passing of the cat from Strat, we feel it's only right that we dive into the mind and take a measure for measure of the man who respectfully known as the Bard of Avon.
The Elizabethan Dawn, who gave us so many words and turns of phrases, he made it a bit easier for us all to speak.
Even if it is true, as his friend and rival Ben Jonson asserted, he had little Latin and even less Greek. And speaking of that, if you cannot understand a word I just said and you say, it's Greek to me, you quote Shakespeare. And if you then claim to be more sinned against than sinning, there you go again, quoting Shakespeare.
If you acknowledge acting more in sorrow than in anger, or that your wish is farther than the thought, or that your lost property has suspiciously vanished in the thin air, you are quoting
And if
Shakespeare.
you absolutely refuse to budge an inch, after having stood upon ceremony and been a tower of strength, if you talk about being tongue-tied or in a pickle or suffering from green-eyed jealousy, if you mention making a virtue out of necessity, knit your brow, somehow insist upon fair play, even while playing fast and loose with the truth, if you howl about having been hoodwinked or about having slept not one wink, because you laughed yourself into stitches, had short shrift, cold comfort, too much of a good thing, if you sing about having seen better days, or lament currently living in a fool's paradise, why, be that as it may, the more fool you, for it is a foregone conclusion that you are, as good luck would have it, quoting Shakespeare.
And if you say it is early days, you decide to clear out bag and baggage. If you say it is high time and that is the long and short of it. If you exclaim that the game is up and the truth will out, even if it involves your own flesh and blood, and so advise that one should lie low to the crack of doom because you suspect foul play, and say that one should not have one's teeth set on edge without rhyme or reason. Then to give the devil his due. If the truth were known, for surely you have a tongue in your head. You are quoting Shakespeare.
And if you were to bid me good riddance and send me packing, and then tell everyone that you know that I should be dead as a doornail, or that you think I am an eyesore, a laughing stock, the devil incarnate, a stony-hearted villain, how about a bloody-minded, blinking idiot? Well, then, by Jove, oh Lord, tut, but me no buts. What the dickens? For it is all one to me. But you, and especially you, would be quoting Shakespeare. And the thing about quoting William Shakespeare is that we have actually more verifiable quotes from Shakespeare's literature than we have verifiable facts about his life. See, during those 52 years he was alive, between the years of 1564 and 1616, he had zero access to a smartphone, which means he had zero access to the then non-existent internets, which means he could not then log onto said non-existent internets and update his status every 15 minutes. So that's the reason why history records nothing of what Shakespeare might have had on the side with his money. Everything that we can know about a person was written down by hand. That would be human hand, making it subject to human error, therefore mistaken information. And because the only thing the Elizabethans cared about was a very small bit of information, when a person was born, when they died, when they got married, when they got baptized, well, that's not a whole lot to go on, so therefore we have missing information. So when you got missing information compounded by mistaken information about anyone's life, you're going to get speculation. And when you speculate about somebody who's as infinitely speculatable over these centuries as William Shakespeare, you are inevitably going to get controversy. Was he really born on April 23?
Man, we don't even know that.
Controversy. Did he only go to school until he was about the age of 15?
Man, that seems pretty short.
Controversy. Now, where and how did he meet his future wife, Anne Hathaway?
Wasn't she really older than him?
Controversy. And why does their marriage license have her name spelled Watley?
Clerical error.
Controversy.
From 1585 to 1591.
And almost 7 years.
No one's really sure where Shakespeare had gone.
You know what? For real, it's like your brother just up and disappeared.
But there are some clues to what he might have done.
That's true. But listen here, Mr. Shakespeare, we know you had 3 kids by the time you were 21 or so.
Susanna, Hamnet, and Judith, right?
Mr. Shakespeare, you must have been traveling, writing, acting, learning how plays go.
How else could he know?
Mr. Shakespeare, because by 1592 we all know that you were in London town.
Rob Greene called him an upstart crow.
Mr. Shakespeare, because it seems you had written things that were starting to get you renowned.
Like the taming of the shrew.
Mr. Shakespeare.
But did he pen the poems, the sonnets, and the plays?
Some say yay, some say nay.
Many don't believe he could have written that way.
You know, yeah, I've heard that just the other day.
Given that he'd never gone to university.
That sounds like snobbery to me. Controversy. Was he a Catholic, Protestant, or even an atheist?
Shh, don't ask, don't tell.
Controversy. Did he have to hide what he was because of politics?
Yep.
Controversy. Why is it that we have 0 books or letters written in his hand?
Hey, what's up with that?
Controversy. Maybe it's just one of those mysteries that we will just never ever understand.
Maybe so.
Controversy.
Why is it that a man of such literary fame,
no other writer even comes close,
whose words lit the world like a literary flame?
Behind the Bible, he's what's been translated the most.
Seem to be so confused about how to spell his name.
Yeah, some people wonder if he was a ghost. It was 6 ways, right? There's William Shakespeare.
Now this is the story all about how one man turned the whole world upside down. And if you like to hear it, just sit right there. I tell you all about the beginning of the great William Shakespeare. It's Stratford upon Avon, born and raised in the glove shop where he spent most of his days, helping his daddy with the sheep and the wool and all, reading some books. Then at the King's New School,
Mom and Dad, John and Mary, they were doing pretty good.
his dad was the mayor of the neighborhood. They had 8 children total just to keep it fit. The only one became the famous William Shakespeare. He had to read Latin and poets like
Ovid,
Virgil and Plutarch. He simply loved it. He lived during the time of the bubonic plague. Many people died, they could not be saved, but Shakespeare survived somehow, some way. And at 18 years old, married Anne Hathaway.
and was
8 years older, that's to be for sure, man. I guess Shakespeare must have been really mature. They had 1 child, Susanna, then they had 2 more, Hamnet and Judith, and they weren't exactly poor, but things got hard for his pops, the ex-mayor of his family's flight. Shakespeare was aware, probably talked with his wife about it late in the night. Maybe he read a new poem and she said,
yo, that's tight. You should go to London, get your words on the scene. Wait until they dig the way you drop a hot 14. I'm really grateful, baby, to be on your team, and I'ma hold it down at home while you go chase your dreams.
Some say that Sail was probably a sailor. I think that he was grinding, trying not to be a failure. If he walked, it would have taken 4 days to get there. Off to London, Mr. William Shakespeare. So you can imagine the young Shakespeare traveling this distance, about 4 days journey, a little over 100 miles. Let's say it was the kind of thing you could imagine walking from Brattleboro, Vermont, and ending up 4 days later in Copley Square. Pretty long walk, but very, very different scenes. And you can imagine the young Shakespeare getting to this big city, walking around, checking the buildings out, the smell of the city, the feel of the city, and you can imagine he might have run into some colorful characters. Some characters, probably more colorful than others.
Hie thee hither. Don't dally and don't dither, baby. Come ye here, so that I might pour mine spirit in thine ear. See, round here, you better be quick to get hip to the happenings, the tricks, the trades, and traps in this city. See, this ain't no place for the innocent to face. No, sir. Tain't no hood in which no babe from no woods should be. So you peeps want to see the London of the Bard, huh? Well, I certainly hope you are of sterner stuff and that you all have strong enough stomachs and that you're not too Catholic. And if you are, hey, that's cool. Don't do that. I mean it. I strongly advise against it. Now, don't get it twisted. See, me, I ain't got no problem with no papists, man. I mean, some of my best friends and clients, I might add, dig on some Eucharist. You know what I'm saying? But Queen E, oh, baby, whoa, she ain't having it, yo. Just like her daddy, King Henry the Ocho. So, if you are one of them rah, zip, boom, bar type Catholics, let me just say that unless you relish the idea of becoming quickly headless and having your noggin rotting atop one of them spikes up there, yeah, I keep any papal enthusiasms I might have on the down low. You know, if I wanted to keep breathing. Oh, and speaking of breathing, unless you got to, try not to. But if you do find you have to, well then, get prepared to have your nostrils assailed with the smell of, well, of London. This wondrously odoriferous city in which we lay our scene, where I wouldn't touch anything because hardly anything's clean. I mean, London is bad food and bad breath. Peeps who reek of weeks of old body sweat. Animal droppings, the sloppings that slop out of chamber pots. London is slime, slick streets, thick with, oh, God knows what. Anyway, what do you expect when you get 200,000 people squeezed into the space of just a few square miles? Well, I'll tell you, you get plague, a disease that will kill you whether you be man, woman, or child, and will do so by the thousands every year. And still, people keep on coming here. And why not? I mean, even though this zip code has been known to leave one corpse cold, London is hot. One of the liveliest spots in all of Europe. And ever since divine providence saw fit to help us put the spanking on the Spanish, we have been getting our globe traveling on. And baby, having a killer navy has been good for business here at home. So come along, let's go for a walkabout so y'all can get to checking out and I can get to talking about my city, London. Now, London is factories, dockyards, breweries, and stockyards, liveries and food marts, print shops, and all those kinds of things. We're talking about grammar schools, guild halls, law courts, drink halls, and over there, y'all, looms the Cathedral of St. Paul. And that ain't all. For if you are with the lick of wit and wherewithal and prefer a bit of moisture over cloister, London is thine oyster. For London is brick and basket, wig and glass makers, innkeepers, fishmongers, cake and bread bakers. London is tinsmiths, goldsmiths, all kinds of smiths and carpenters, shipwrights, sailors, soldiers and armorers. London is furriers, haberdashers and couriers. London is watermen, ministers and minstrels. London is exchequers, booksellers, printers, apprentices, servers, merchants and cooks. And I mean, just look. London is a veritable universe of commerce and crooks. London is, you know, fellas, I think it's best if I just whisper this. London is coney catchers and cut purses, cutthroats and thuggery, pilferers and pickpockets plotting skullduggery. London is ragga-brash, nash gabs, and all kinds of mud spouts, mumble crusty, busty lugs who always got their hands out. London is bully boys, brigands, and buffoons. London is filled with all kinds of ruthless, toothless goons. London is high chicks and naughty body eye blinks. Can't seem to chip, clip, or grip your pocket full of chinks, so don't you blink. For whether you be denizen or citizen, someone wishes to relieve you, friend, of the burden of their corn and maybe even of living. And if ye be a stranger seeking fortune, pleasure, or danger, why, this is the city that you wish to be visiting. So you better get to listening to me. Keep thine wits about thee. Take heed and take note. Because this town is a gas and a laugh and a half, but she is no joke. Look, folks, is that the Globe Theater's flag up? Yep. That's a sure sign they're putting on a new play today. All right, this ought to get the crowd riled up. So what do you say? You up? Solid. So let's row this boat across the River Thames to Bankside, one of the red line / theater districts of London. that one known as Suffolk. So y'all,
Welcome to London.
hey, you better watch your step.
Welcome to
Yeah, you over there, you better step with some pep. Yo, my man, you better watch out for your wallet or your change purse, or you won't have either one of them left.
Welcome to London.
Now, the thing about William Shakespeare, right, is that he always loved to write even when he was smaller, and the guy believed that he would be remembered more for being a poet than he was as a playwright. So he wrote over 154 poems called sonnets. Those are those pretty ditties, 14 lines that are about life and what causes you strife. Now, a fair amount of those was written to a guy telling him that he needs to get married and have some kids. And so what William Shakespeare did was he also wrote a piece, one of his most famous ones, Sonnet number 2. And it's all about this guy who's about to turn 40. And he's saying, what's going to happen when you turn 40 and you've got no son? No son to pass on your worldly wisdom to. Now, Shakespeare never got a chance to pass on too much of his worldly wisdom because his son Hamlet died at age 11. And so Shakespeare, I often wonder when he was penning that poem, did he ever think about the future father or some someday daddy and how that cat might engage with that poem?
When 40 winters have besieged thy brow, and dug deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery so gazed on now will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasures of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes, will be an all-eating shame and a thriftless praise. How much more praise deserve thy beauty's use, if thou could answer this fair child of mine? Shall sum my count and make my old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine. This were to be new made when thou art old, to see thy blood warm when thou feels it cold.
That is one of the most famous Shakespeare sonnets. I bet he never envisioned it like that, even though sonnets were meant to be sung. Now, the thing about that is that you can learn a lot about Shakespeare. If you listen to the sonnets, they tell you a lot about his life.
Wait a minute. Most scholars will say you should be very careful not to take the sonnets as purely autobiographical.
But I don't listen to most scholars, because the truth is that when you look at them autobiographically, they are a hell of a lot more fun that way. Take those ones he wrote about unrequited love. Let me see your armpits. Who understands what unrequited love is? That means you love somebody and they can't stand you. That's pretty much what that means. So if we take those sonnets autobiographically, Shakespeare was digging on this one cutie pie, right? And she kept kicking him to the curb for somebody else. And those are called the Dark Lady sonnets. What? You never heard of those? Well, let me be the first to spread a little bit of chit-chat and chatter on this most salacious of matters. And now Shakespeare wrote about 26 sonnets of and to a woman he considered less than honest, because when it came to love, she was a little shady. He didn't give her name, so she's called the Dark Lady. She's called this because of the way that Shakespeare described her. He said the hairs on her head looked like black wires. He also said her skin was the color of dun, which meant that she was dark with eyes nothing like the sun. It seemed she was cool, not snooty or snot, the kind of person who you like to take to a party. She loved to write words, she hated to be bored, and reportedly could really rock a harpsichord. And yo, Shakespeare dug her, thought a lot of her. See, as one day moved into another, the brother couldn't get the Dark Lady out of his mind. Problem, she was into other guys. But when she started running around with his beloved friend, this nearly brought Willie's wits to an end. I imagine him wandering through London at night, feeling hella heartbroken and singing something like,
You got what I need, but you hanging around with him, my most beloved friend, the Dark Lady. You got what I need, but you make me feel
Shakespeare couldn't just leave it alone. He began to beweep, bewail, and bemoan. He felt belittled and bedraggled and a bit bereft because he lost both his boo and his BFF. And with heart-sore tears and heart-sore cries, love ripped the dreams from his enthralled eyes. The dark lady betrayed him, played and unmade him, put his heart into a blender, pressed a button and frapped it. Why must the course of love be so hard, so fickle and false and so filled with fraud? He poetically regretted every beauty he found in her. Okay, he started to badmouth her. Thus with this slander I thus proceed. Right and fair is how I once thought of thee, but thou art tyrannous and villainous, and I am merely slain. Just kill me outright with your looks and rid me of this pain, you covetous, unjust, female, evil, worser, spirit, bad angel, deceiver. All this I knew, but I knew not well. The brother whined like a male Adele.
Thou hast what I needed. Thou hast surrounded with him.
You know, hey man,
My most beloved.
stop the music. I don't know if anybody out there's ever understood heartbreak. Let me see armpits if you have. Who's got their cell phones? Who's got their, put your cell phones up in the air. Show a brother some light. Put it on the flashlight. Put the flashlight up.
I see one. I see two. I see
Oh, I need more light. Send the brother some light. All right, keep. You know what? This is like Popeye and spinach. I'm starting to feel it. So check it out now. Just who the dark lady was is a mystery. Scholars have been trying to figure out for centuries who she could be, might be, or ain't. But to this date, the most likely candidate is a young lady who was born Amelia Bassano. Her dad was part Jewish, part Italiano, but since half of her family was Mediterranean, she might have been darker than the average British citizen. According to historians, her clan were musicians, which meant that it was likely that she would have played an instrument. According to some documents, she was quite spirited, creative, educated, and correctly intelligent. Not being content to write her verses at home, Amelia published a very important book of poems, and she was one of the first women in Britain to do this. As you can see, Sister Girl was quite ferocious. Not being content to be a +1 token, I can see why Big Willie's heart was broken. If somebody like that left me for my beloved friend, I'd be walking through the streets of CM singing, You got what I need, but you hanging around with him, my most beloved friend. Hey, dark lady, you got what I need, but you make me feel so grim, cause on you I can't depend. Dark lady, you got what I need, but you make me feel so grim, cause on you I can't depend. All right. So here we are on the Bankside, Southwark. This is one of the places that is the red light district. This is where they keep the theaters. See, the good city fathers won't allow any theater in London City proper. They tend to think it will attract some of the people who have a bit less morals and ethics about them. I'm sure they didn't mean y'all. But yo, if you want to look that way, what you would see, if you could see, would be the Rose Theater. The Rose Theater is the first theater built here in Bankside. It is reputed to be the place where they put on some of Shakespeare's plays back in the early days. If you draw your eye that way, what you would spy would be the Bear Garden. So called because every night, usually what they do is they put on one of the Elizabethan era's favorite forms of entertainment, bear baiting. That's where you tie a bear down to a stake and you let hungry dogs rip it apart. It's good Elizabethan family fun. I take my little crumb snatchers there every time I get a couple ducats to rub together. But tonight, they got my favorite form of entertainment, cockfighting. I don't suppose I could convince you guys to go over to see that cockfighting instead of going to see that play? Yeah, well, your teachers might not like it, but I'm digging you, man. I love the spirit. But if we got to do this, let's just see what they got happening at the Globe today. You know? Oh, young man, you look to me like you can read. Is that in fact true? You can read. Okay, so your parents spent enough money on your education to make sure that you got that handle. All right. Now, if you look up there, I can make out the bottom. I understand that says William Shakespeare, but the other stuff, I can't read it so well because I'm Elizabethan and my education ain't so great. So, the tragedy, I'm sorry, what?
Hamlet, Prince of Denmark.
The tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. That's right. The tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. Shh, 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 shh. I think it's about to start.
Yes. Hamlet's father died and it was most peculiar when his uncle Claudius became the new ruler. He married Gertrude, who was Hamlet's mama.
Dude married his sister-in-law?
Ain't that some drama? Hamlet's hating on it, daddy's not even cold. But some guards on duty said they seen a ghost. Ham goes to check it, and yup, it's his daddy. And what the ghost says starts to drive him batty. His pop says,
Claudius iced me, no doubt. You know what to do, son, you gotta ride out.
subplot. Ophelia's bro said Hamlet's just a flirt. She dies at the end. Oops, spoiler alert. But moving right along, here comes Fortinbras, a young lad who came to get revenge for the past. A long time ago, somebody killed his big papa. He came thug out to do the thing proper. Go ham,
Go ham, come on, y'all.
go Hamlet. Everybody go ham. Go Hamlet.
Go!
Supporting brass companies like Hamlet, let's fight. And him, he's like, yo, I got a much bigger plight. I'm trying to get the mic to kill my uncle with a knife. Or poison him or push him off a cliff to end his life. Gertrude's higher than a kite, thinking everything's alright. While Hamlet's seeing visions in his play for sleepless night. But he still thinks the ghost might well be the devil. I'll stage a play to see if he's on the level. They reenact the murder, Claudius leaves the room. Now Hamlet's sure it's time to steal his uncle's doom. Hamlet goes ham like Jean-Claude Van Damme's That's Polonius, Ophelia's dad, like, oh man. Later sees the pro, comes back to get vengeance. Teams up for Claudius to end Ham's existence. Mom drinks the poison, here's a toast to my son. Hamlet kills Claudius finally, then he dies. The play's done. Ham,
Go ham!
go Hamlet,
Go ham!
everybody go ham. That side go Hamlet. Over here go ham. Over here go Hamlet. Everybody go ham. Yeah, go Hamlet.
Now, if you ever go and see the play Hamlet, which is to see it, which is the exact way that Shakespeare wanted it to be experienced, you're going to notice something off the bat. And that is Hamlet is not having a very good day. He has come home, his father's been offed, his mother not only gets married right away, but she marries his uncle. So he's like, yo, how this is going to happen up in my house? So he's like, all right, so something must be going on. So what does he do? He's been at the University of Wittenberg, which means that he himself has been studying a lot of Christian apologetics and Christian philosophy. So he can't just come back and enact the rules of Denmark, which means that he needs to take somebody out for killing his father. So with the whole thing of that, he's like, he vacillates. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I handle this? Should I not handle this? So he goes, he says, I don't know if I should kill my mother. Does she have something to do with it? I need to go kill my uncle, but I don't know if the ghost is telling me the truth. Here's my girlfriend, Ophelia, who's telling me she loves these letters, but I don't know if she can be trusted either. So as you see, Hamlet goes back and forth, back and forth. He is a lagger
And a lollygagger
with no swagger. Now, you want to talk about swagger?
real swagger.
Or what you talking about, Henry V?
No loud talking bragger.
We talking swagger.
Yeah, we're talking about Harry V.
You want to know about swagger?
Real swagger.
We're talking about none of
Talking
these
about
other cats,
Henry
right?
V.
We talking to know about swagger? Real swagger? Henry V.
For the beauty, send the brightest heaven invention. 1, 2, 3, hold it. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. So you can see Henry V standing there leading his men tore until they reached the walls of a town of hard floor, losing the spirited until Henry, with sword in hand, turns to them, and this is what he says.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in your ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect, let it pry through the porches of the head like the brass cannon. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostrils wide. All you noblest English, dishonor not your mothers. Be now copy to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war.
The English rally back, get back into the fight, volley and attack. Hard floor gives in, Henry tells his men to be lenient with all the town citizens. Now what if I told ya this story is far from over? Oh yes, there's more. Dig Hank before he goes into the battle of Agincourt.
And if we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss, and if to live, the fewer the men, the greater the share of honor. God's will. Let he who hath no stomach for this fight depart, for we would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian, and he who outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named. Then shall he strip his sleeves, show his scars, and say, these wounds I had upon Crispin's day. Hope men forget, yet all shall be forgotten, but he'll remember what feats he did that day. Then will our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, be in his flowing cup, freshly remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he who sheds his blood with me this day shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now of bed will think themselves cursed they were not here, and they will hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks who fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
Hard floor in Agincourt, the smell of death and bodies lying all around. English and French choke on the stench, but Henry keeps fighting to show up his crown. But it seems like madness, but clearly there was mad method in it. Henry wouldn't be undone, he kept pressing on and just wouldn't quit till he won.
You want to talk about swagger?
Real swagger.
But then you talking about Henry V.
No, I'm talking bragger.
We're talking swagger.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Henry V.
No inebriated stagger.
Real swagger.
Yo, we're talking about Henry V.
Y'all wanna know about swagger?
Real swagger?
Henry V.
Come on, y'all. Swagger, 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 swagger.
Get your swag on.
Woo! Swagger, 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 swagger.
Just a little bit.
Swagger, swagger,
Swagger, swagger, swagger.
Yeah. Swagger, 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 swagger.
Henry V.
Both our plaintiffs are from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. This comedy features a very bad group of actors on their way to an enchanted forest to perform at the wedding of Theseus. Meet Oberon, king of the fairies. He's got magical powers, but cannot make his wife, Titania, do what he wants. After an argument with her, he had his servant Puck put a spell on her that would make her fall in love with the first living being she sees when she awakens from her nap. This is actor Nick Bottom, alias Bottom the Weaver. By Puck's mistake, he has been given a donkey's head and doesn't know it. He is who Titania sees when she wakes up. Bottom, not knowing she is under a spell, believes Titania is madly in love with him because he is talented, charming, and handsome. These men have been beefing for 400 years about which one of them is better. Now, you be the judge on this month's edition of the Shakespeare Character Smackdown.
What's this? You don't even exist. The king of the fairies. Not even scary a little bit. You know the rules, player. Your queen chose me. And the reason why she did it is no mystery. She wanted a real man with a bit of hair on his face. Not this blight on my sight that I see here in my face. A man of substance who could roar like a lion when needed. Or beguiled with feminine wiles if his part did read it. But you are no actor. You only seek to direct. Risking other characters' necks. You are despicable and sad. Probably never had a dad. No excuse for being a cad in Lysander, that poor lad. Oh, you are bad news, sending Puck with a love potion, confusing the very notion of devotion. The truth is, while me and yo honey bun were frolicking in emerald green fields under a orange gold sun, snacking on butterscotch and honeycrumbs, we were having so much fun, she never mentioned you once.
Okay. First things first, y'all, let's get the obvious out of the way. Because if Shakespeare had named me what he named you, I'd have sued the dude who changed my name yesterday. For real, y'all. Brother's last name is Bottom. First name is, Nick. Well, Nick, I have never met the bottom I could not kick. Seriously, you think you can rock with this? Well, I'll tell you this, you got pluck. Looking at you, I never would have thought this stand down on his puck. This schmuck just pressed his luck. Overrun. King of the fairies. I got this. Good sir. Have you not the sense to realize that you are a painful, hapless, hurtful imperfection to the eyes? You are a canker blossom, Bottom, an absurd, unapt word, a two-legged, full-headed, mule-headed turd, with little more wit than what's contained within the spit of a backwards flying, brainless bird. The reason Shakespeare named you Bottom is because you are but the butt of all jokes, a grandiose, overblown, bragging bloke blowing smoke through large equine horse teeth. Half man, half beast, little more than a pitiful poor piece of Shakespearean comic relief. You don't even seem to realize you got the head of a donkey. Or that as fully human, you are clownish, cloddish, and clunky. Or that as an actor, your acting is whack, hammy, and skunky. Of talent, you are bereft, because it's apparent yours left. For 400 years, big ears, you've been trying to rock rhymes against me, but all I hear is I swear if you were to dare to get to a county fair, kids would ride you like a seesaw. Don't you know that with one snap, I can have bats put on your back, have you trekking and making tracks from Wichita to Panama, Bogota to Arkansas. Yar, yar, get along, little doggy. Oh, you thought my wife, Titania, love of my life, queen of the fairies, fell very in love with you? You must have been Midsummer Night Dreaming, fool. Deceived into believing what ain't actual or factual. Let me break it down real slow for you, bro, so that you know. Senor Burrow, I want to make sure y'all hearing this. Me be supernatural. He be super idiot. I am so incomprehensible and unmeasurable, no mortal half-ass can ever hope to know, let alone throw me. I'm so filled with nature's force, moan horse. You should just call me Oberon Kenobi. All right. So now you get to be the judge by a round of applause as to who won this SmackDown. Do we have old Furface over here? Who wants to give it to old Furface over here? I had more bars. Cut me over. Or do you want to give it to who you know you should give it to? Over here. I trumped the rhymes. Overrun. All right, well, I guess we don't know, but sounds like we kind of tied on that one.
I think so.
But I want to thank you guys for participating in this edition of the Shakespeare Character SmackDown! So now, it's about time for us to leave this scene. But before we do, we want to give you one last offering. A few lines that we've called together from that play we just went into, A Midsummer Night's Dream, that we call No More Than Imaginings.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. That all of us here are but lunatics, lovers, and poets, as momentary as a sound, as swift as a shadow, as short as any dream, as brief as the lightning in the cowey night that in a spleen unfolds both heaven and earth. Yes, we're all beings of imagination, all compact, and perhaps we have all but slumbered here whilst these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme no more yielding than a dream. Lovers, lunatics, and poets whose minds body forth the forms of things unknown and whose pens turn the shapes and give them form, giving to idle nothing a habitation and a name. Like this school, like the city, like this universe.
You know, Shakespeare, he asks a lot of questions in his writing. As a matter of fact, most art is a question. It's sending something out there. It's a great why that's been sent out there to ask, what is it that I am? Who is it that feels like I feel? As a matter of fact, that's why we all have come here to school. Schools exist because the human being had this thing going on in his head that was the impulse toward finding out why. And as we started to develop that impulse, we began to make institutions that began to question, that began to go deeper into the why, then the what, and then the wherefore, and then the how. And Shakespeare did a lot of that. And no matter what he did, he found out that there are two things that we know for sure. That is,
Here we are in the sea of stars, somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids hanging about, doing our best just to figure it out. I said, here we are in the sea of stars, somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids hanging about, doing our best just to figure
some
it
questions.
out.
Where do we come from? Where do we go? What does it mean to really question? What does it mean to really know? I mean, what is this thing we've all deemed as our reality? Is it real? Or is it just some imagined kind of fallacy that we all have invented from our collective human systems and systems? Is this thing just a thing between all of us, like a screen that we all agree is there and it comes from behind us? Why does space and time seem to confine us? Is there more to us? Or are we all just intelligible dust floating out here in this vat of galactic blackness? Is there anybody really anywhere that can say for sure they know what the fact is? I mean, like, is there a being that listens to every one of our prayers, or are we all just alone in this universe and there's nothing there? Well, hey, I don't know the math, but I know somehow that 1 life plus 2 short equals live your life now. 'Cause
here we are in the sea of stars, somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids hanging about, doing our best just to figure it out. I said, here we are in the sea of stars, somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids hanging about, doing our best just to figure it out.
now Shakespeare, as I said, he was a philosopher. In the truest sense of the word, I know you've had your Greek and your Latin, so you don't understand philos and Sophia. One who is a lover of wisdom, and there's all kinds of ways you can go about trying to seek that out if it's something that you truly love. His way was to be a literary philosopher. That is to write out the great questions and then try to seek those answers. And we don't always get answers, but sometimes we get resolutions. And I think that's what he was seeking for. And I put him right there in line with some of the other seekers throughout our time. Names like Aristotle, Plato, Zeno, and Parmenides. Epicurus, Augustine, Sartre and Socrates, Bodhidharma, Gautama, Kant and Protagoras, Kierkegaard, Hegel, Emerson and Pythagoras. Oh, all of them they mention curious dimensions that make up the makeup of this human existence. We're talking the manic and the madness, the panic and the sadness, the inner and the outness, the how to live withoutness. The Greeks called us thanatoi, y'all. Meaning our lives are so brief, we might as well not live at all. But isn't that part of whatever beauty it is we possess? The fact that we're born in this flesh means we're all destined for death. In that we're just borrowing breath that'll then pass to another as soon as we've left. The only moments we know we got for sure is whatever the universe allows. Life is lived quick, so you know when you ought to live
Right now, cause here we are in a sea of stars. Somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids.
We all just hanging about.
Best just to figure
just trying to figure it out.
Here we are in a sea of stars. Somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids.
We're just hanging about.
Doing our best just to figure it out.
And you know, that's what we're here for. To try to figure out what does it mean to be this tiny primate on this blue thing going through space, not really knowing where we're going. That's why we put faith and trust that something has to know what we don't. And so every breath that we have is extra. Every breath that we have is something that we need to celebrate. And so what we like to tell people, especially young men, is to remember this. To dance your life, because it's the only music you will ever have. That's what we like to tell them. Dance your life, because it's the only music you will ever have. You don't know if you're coming back, you probably ain't. So dance your life, because it's the only music you will ever have. And that's true, that's all you know is the next breath. Dance your life, life. It's the only music you will ever have. That's for real. Baila su vida, que es la única música que tiene, yeah. And you know what? We want to thank y'all for being part of this. We want to thank Captain Memorial for inviting us, to Leslie for doing all of the hard and the legwork. We want to thank our musicians here. You know what? Watch y'all stand up and give them a little love. Stand up. Sometimes because we're in a culture where music we can get anytime we want, we don't always understand that our ancestors only heard a song once or twice, and then the troubadour moved on. And so we have a different relationship to music. But you know what? When you got something live happening, you can play around with the musicians. Let's see what's going on. First off, I want to see if we can give a little bit of solo love to my man on the 88, making it great with the best name there is. Give some round of applause and solo love for my man, Mr. Graham English.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Graham English. Over here, my Hebrew homie, my man, my brother from another brother, y'all give it up for my man who ain't gonna stop no matter what you do on the drums. Give some to Mr. Matt Steinberg. Give it to us some. Y'all stay with us. Give it to us some. 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 Yeah, give it to us some. Yeah. Give it to us some. Give it to us some. Yeah. Now you know what? We want to see if they really listen. So we're going to try to give them some hits. This is how we always check and make sure that they're going to get their paycheck.
That's right.
Right? They got to make these hits right. If not, we get their money.
Rest in peace, James Brown.
That's right. So let's just give it a little, let's try to do it with one. So we're going to count you off in 4. Once you give us the one quick one. Y'all ready? Let's see if they got this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, quick, hit, go. Okay, all right. So now we're going to make it tougher for them. I want everybody to put your fists up.
Fist in the air.
Put your fists in the air. You ain't going to hit nobody. You're going to give them some hits. Okay, and so we're gonna have them give us, what, 3 quick ones?
Why?
3 quick, like, chop, chop, chop. We're gonna give 3 quick hits. What we say, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 quick hits. Go, go. Oh, okay.
Y'all let me talk. Hey.
All right. Now y'all check them out, because I want you to throw them some voodoo. I want them to mess up. I want them to mess up, because I want to keep their money.
We're gonna give them 7.
Yeah, we're gonna have 7. Keep it prime.
Prime.
Keep it prime. All right, y'all ready? Fist up. Let's see what they can do. Y'all ready for this?
Real quick.
All right, let's see if they got the 7 slow or 7 quick.
7 quick ones.
7 quick ones. 7 quick ones. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 quick hits. Go. Okay. All right. So they prove they can count. But why don't we take one more?
One more.
All right.
We now.
And we're gonna try to jump with this one. I know you can't do it, brother.
We're
You
gonna
can.
double that
Yeah, you can try
up.
to
Do not jump.
Don't jump. We're gonna try to
Pump the fist.
jump with this. Y'all ready?
I do 14 hits, y'all.
Oh,
14 slow ones, right?
14 slow hits, 1 hit for every line of a Shakespearean sonnet.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Let's see if they got this. Y'all ready? 14 slow. Put your fists up.
Just in the air, right? One, last one.
1, 2, 3, 4. 14 hits. Make them slow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for being a part of this. Max Steinberg, Graham English, Regie Gibson, and this is Ron and Carey. Thank y'all for everything. Like us on Facebook. I'm a shot. Thank you.